talk for over like 2 years, like maybe 8 times, and every time I have to update it, it keeps changing so fast to see here. So, a lot of people refer to me as a startup Morpheus because I do a lot of mentoring, I talk to a lot of startups, and people ask me, should I do a startup? And I say, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? Right? Do you want to come in and take one of them and go through the rabbit hole and see what happens? Or do you want to just stay in your safe kind of life and stay at a job, right? So this is what I always give people, this kind of option. So the story starts, I'll give you a little brief background on what's happening in Hong Kong. This is the magical scientific place that Walt saw, it's called Cyberport. This is 2009, and they were having, they had their government, and they're helping out people by doing conferences and bringing people into Hong Kong. And a bunch of us went to see a guy named Dave McClure there, who was talking about angel investing and startups and things like that. And I think he told everybody, if you want to start an ecosystem in Hong Kong, you should get together and start your own at coffee shops or whatever. And so that's what we did. We got together, every Monday, and we talked about stuff. It was like a Startups Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, where we would get together and talk about their problems in the scene and what they were doing. And then this is the very first co-work space in Hong Kong. This is in Wan Chai, near the Hopewell Center. As you can see, it looked destroyed. It smelled funny, and there were cockroaches there. But this is the very first one that started before the fancy ones started coming out. But what we did is we basically invited people to come over every Monday and meet and just talk about something. So we'd have a speaker do a talk, and people would try and cram into this small space and listen to what was going on. So a lot of people have been in successful startups already from what we grew. We did our first event in 2010 where it was like a conference in Cyberport, and people would come out and do pitches and we do talks about stuff like that. So this was like the beginning of the whole theme. It grew pretty fast. We went from the 6 guys that rented a coffee shop to 6,000 members. So a lot of you here know about that. And we've gone and done tons more events, and other organizations have popped up and done more stuff as well. This one is the last time I did a talk for the introduction to the Startups team. 200 new people. So every time I do the talk, there's 200 new people that want to be entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. So it's really exciting to see it grow so much. And of course the media loves talking about this. This is the hot topic in the last 2 years. I think the coverage for Hong Kong has been incredible. And of course we got a lot of cool companies built here in Hong Kong, and we'll show a few of them after I finish here. We've got a lot of different organizations. We're not the only ones doing it. We've got General Assembly, Startup Grind, the Founder Institute, everybody's here, so if you want to check these guys out, you can. There are investors in Hong Kong. There's a lot of angel groups out there. And some great investments done in Hong Kong recently. A company called Shopline raised some money, Novi raised some money, and of course 9gag raised some money. If you've ever seen these kind of comedy things, you know what 9gag does, but Ray will be here tonight to give you a little bit more insight on what they do. There have been some successful exits as well. Some companies have exited. Divide is a company that pitched at that very first Startup Saturday 4 years ago, and just last year sold to Google for quite a bit of money. So we're very excited about that as one of the first big Hong Kong exits. And then it's not all beautiful roses. I thought I'd just show a couple of the challenges that are here. While the ecosystem is thriving at an early stage, I think as it grows, it's going to run into a little bit of a bumpy road. There's not that many Series A investors here, so people are going outside to the Valley or going to Singapore and other places. Not a lot of clear exit strategies. I think education is quite lacking in a lot of these verticals that are important for startups. The work visa thing, bringing people from out of town to come and live here and work here is also challenging, which I think is another thing that builds ecosystems very, very well. And of course, there's the cultural obstacles, right? As you probably all know, the Tiger Mom is a bit of a tough one to get around if you want to do a startup. There's the Facebook. Why don't you Facebook and study? Boom. All right. There's not a lot of role models out there. I think Ray's a good role model. A lot of the other guys are going to come up and talk on the stage today are all role models. So I think a lot of these things are obstacles, but I think they're all changing actually. And they'll probably be completely gone in the next few years. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick tour of the co-work spaces because I think the co-work space scene in Hong Kong has grown quite a bit. And some of you are maybe from out of town or haven't seen a lot of these. Here's kind of a snapshot of what each of them look like. So this is our original space. That guy looks like he's on trial, but he's not. I think he's talking. This is the Hive in Wan Chai. So I think this is one of the first ones that showed other people what co-work space could look like, not like that mess I showed you before, where it looks like somebody's barbecue is happening in there. This is the Hive. It was, I think, 2 floors, now it's 5 floors. They have 3 spaces in Hong Kong. There's Cocoon, big, large, I think 15,000 square foot place out in Tin Hau. There's the Good Lab up in Cheung Sha Wan in Kowloon Side. Very beautiful space, producing social enterprise startups. There's Paperclip up there in Sheung Wan, just near here. There's Garage Society. I think they just opened a 3rd space as well. Your tax dollar is doing well. This is Cyberport Smart Space, looks beautiful. There's a foosball table there, check that out. This is the newest entry, Blueprint. This is part of the Swire Properties thing up in Quarry Bay. So as you can see, they've spread out all over the city. These are just a few of them as well. There's 35, 40 of them. This is an ecosystem in Asia slide. So this is something that's been done by a bunch of different ecosystems in Asia, showing off the good, bad, and ugly of each of the ecosystems countries in Asia. Hong Kong ranks pretty high up there with Singapore and Malaysia as places to do startups in terms of, you know, access to infrastructure, regulation, finance, technology, and culture. If you want more information, check out StartupsHK.com. This is our website that we have stories about funding and calendars, job listings, all that kind of stuff. And for a listing of all the different startups in Hong Kong, we have Startbase.hk as well. So this is like a directory that we sync with Crunchbase in the US so that everybody's updated on what's happening here. Okay, so if you want this slide deck, just email me, casey@startupshk.com. Okay, so with that very quick introduction, we're going to bring up our first team to come and pitch. So please put your hands together and welcome Noti. It's a showcase, not a pitch. He's not trying to raise any money, just raised a bunch of money, right? So he'll do a showcase for about 5 minutes, I think, and then Walt, if you have any comments or any questions, they'd love to hear from you.
I always want money. Casey, can I get the...
Oh yeah, you need this. I was going to do it for you.
Just flip it on. All right, good evening. My name's Kevin. I'm co-founder of Noti. Co-founder with my wife, Catherine, who's sitting here in the front. We are the front page of the blogosphere. And it works, that's good to see. So when I was a kid, I used to read magazines. You know, some of the dumb stuff you'd read as a kid. And at one point, I got into college and I had to look really fit. So I, subscribed to Men's Health. And at one point, I found myself in banking and I had to look really good. But clearly, things have changed. But that was kind of pre-internet era, and many of these magazines have moved online, and give or take, we call them blogs nowadays, but there's many of them. And in fact, there's about 150 million blogs. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. But let me tell you a bit about our story, and it started with search. So it was a few years ago that we Googled travel blogs, and it pulled up something like this. It was, sure, it's ugly, it's uninspiring, but when you're looking for travel blogs, it doesn't work. It's not usable. And so we reflected on this and we thought, well, there must be millions of other people looking for not just travel blogs, but blogs of all sorts. And so, in fact, there's 400 million people that look at blogs every single month. So we reflected on kind of the ecosystem and kind of the pillars of digital media. And of course, in video, we know there's a lot of video uploaded, a whole bunch of images, but how big is that blogosphere? And so there's 1,400 articles published every minute. And we know where to find video. We find it on YouTube, images, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest. But the blogosphere really, there's no kind of key point of access or window to the blogosphere. And for us, that's an opportunity, and this was our eureka moment. We thought about it a bit more and figured that, well, really, whoever does turn blogs mainstream can be a top 10 internet property. So let me tell you a bit about our product. I'd love to give you a demo, but internet's traditionally unreliable in presentations. So when you come to Noti, we ask you for your interests. And so you put your interests in, and we then bring in from over 20 million blogs, great blog posts on your interests. And so you can view them in this format or like a list view format. We're very, as opposed to like source-centric, where you subscribe to a specific blog, it's more topic-centric. So if you click on a post, we have a panel that kind of slides out, so you can get the full experience of visiting their site without actually leaving Noti. We have a whole bunch of topics. We have about 500,000 of them. This is just one, Audi. So you come to Audi, see a whole bunch of really good stuff. And contrast this now with that first experience a few years ago when you're on Google and you get this type of experience. So we're really taking this up a notch from a user experience perspective. Continuing on, just to illustrate the breadth of topics, we have Hong Kong, kale, if you want to be healthy, watches, and of course it's the internet, cats. What makes us unique, and it's really the breadth of topics, as I said. We have 500,000 topics, but it grows daily like a Wikipedia. It can only get better and broader over time. Curation, as I said earlier, there's millions upon millions of blogs, but that's the problem. So we curate. We take an algorithmic approach and a bit of a human approach, so you know that almost every blog in our system has been touched by like a real person, making sure that the blog is good. Finally, we focus on the blogosphere and not mainstream media. There's a bit of a dichotomy there. You can only be focused on one or the other. So where are we? Our website, iPhone, iPad is live. We closed a small round of funding in December. The team is here in Hong Kong. Some notable investors, we have Hugo Berra, ex-Google head of Android, now at Xiaomi. Steve Kirsch, founder of InfoSeek, and Ryan Holmes from Hootsuite. The team, we have 10 amazing people on our team. Catherine and I, we both spent 10 years in banking. She was a blogger prior to us starting this. What makes us better than most 10-person teams is that, well, half our team is female. So how are people finding Noti right now? Well, as I said, there's about 500,000 topics, so it's really up to your interest. But take this one alone, weddings. There's 20 million brides planning their wedding right now. And we make it super simple to find blogs. Take another domain, let's call it like the brand space. You know, Nike, Starbucks, Adidas. We have really good curated magazines. These guys love it, and they're reaching out to us to run campaigns, but it's not our focus yet, but it's really exciting when we can borrow and leverage off their social reach. Thirdly is SEO. Through Google, it's only been a month of kind of being searched, of being indexed by Google, but it's going really good. Here's some examples. So we Google Adidas blogs, and well, we're number 7, sadly, but 5 of the first 6 are actually Adidas themselves. So that's pretty good. A car, a really fast car, McLaren 650. You know, we're number 2, and it'd be better if we're number 1, but most importantly, Top Gear is number 4. Finally, another domain, YSL blogs. You know, Noti's number 1 and number 2. So as exciting as it is to really fill out this blogosphere and be that window to the blogosphere, I think it's actually much more exciting to get to know that we can help 400 million people from different parts of the world find really good content, and that's pretty cool. But at the same rate, we get to give to the bloggers, no matter who they are, any shape, any type, we get to give them a louder voice. Thank you.
Yeah, so is it the 80 monkeys or?
Yeah, it's a two-step process effectively. So on the algorithmic side, we using a number of approaches, one of which was actually taking 500,000 keywords, throwing them into Google, and pulling back blogs that kind of surfaced. We took an algorithmic approach and basically went through about 20 million blogs to see which blogs are kind of updated frequently, which are kind of not mainstream media, so like Wall Street Journal, for example, or New York Times, and which are not corporate blogs, say like a Four Seasons hotel. We want to focus on the independent bloggers, and from that, we manually went through hundreds of thousands of blogs to actually start the base of what we have right now. Incredibly manual process, but we've actually handed back the curation almost back to the community. So the community is now suggesting blogs on, say, fitness or kale. And they're basically suggesting what blogs that we should be adding in those spaces. And based on those suggestions, we'll kind of bring the blogs in or not.
Okay.
I'm curious about, thinking about how people access information online. How many people do you think are going to go to Noti to search through the blogs to discover information that they're looking for versus something more direct?
Okay, so direct as in I already know of the blog, is that correct?
I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to go to Google to search because I have an initial query.
Sure. So there's a couple of ways, I guess, that people have been finding us right now. And one is simply just word of mouth. So in that weddings demographic, when one bride or bridesmaid finds it, we find that the whole group finds it, and then a bunch of their friends find it. So there's a lot of this word of mouth, person-to-person sharing. SEO is a big component as well. There's a high kind of conversion rate when I'm looking for Adidas Originals blogs, and I end up on Noti, and it has this very visible format. So we actually convert a lot through SEO. Word of mouth is quite big. But what's really cool is actually a bunch of these bloggers have actually started blogging about us, saying, "Hey, I discovered the site Noti. It's really cool. Come check out my stuff there."
So it's kind of meta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
So we have the next startup, which is working on robotics. Kevin.
Hello, good evening. So, can I ask you guys to try to look up to the ceiling? So, can you see the circle things? Yeah, this is the fire alarm. So, this is the story that I want to share with you today. So, forest fire burns like 100 million football field, which is 100 million hectares every year, which equivalent to the size of South Africa. And we never have chance to detect the fire early so that we can reduce that numbers in the previous 100 years. So today, what I want to introduce to you is the first ever solutions that can detect fires in a very early stage manner, like we have right now in the indoor area. So happen tomorrow is the International Day of Forest, so I think it's the best time to share the solutions with you. So you can see our sensors. Our proprietary technology, actually we use the same kind of thermal sensors that used to detect only 1 square meters, 1 square kilometers, that we can extend the coverage to 100 times to 100 square kilometers to bring down the cost a lot. And as well as the difference between our solutions and the fire alarms here is we also show the exact locations where the fires happens and the intuitive visibility for the authority to see where the fire is. So timing is all matters for fires. So imagine here is like in the forest. When the fire just gets started in very small manner, you can put it out very easily. But after the fire spread, you spend much more to put out the fires. So, and this is what we managed to do when the first tree getting started to have the forest fire, we can tackle it. In the real case scenario, so last year is our first year of commercializations and deployed in China. So this is one of the projects in China. We cover an area like Hong Kong Island. So we detect over hundreds of forest fire with 100% accuracy. And the fire authority managed without 100% of the fire by only sending out one fire truck with 2 to 3 firefighters. And this has never been done before. So right now we are covering about the area of 7 of total Hong Kong land size area. So in 6 provinces in China. This year we're going to deploy in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and hopefully North America and Australia as well. So yeah, that's it. It's a very simple solution that we believe we can help save the world for the, detecting the forest fire early. Thanks.
Ken. I have a question for you about the practicality of deploying your solutions, especially in places like Hong Kong that are incredibly mountainous and I assume have real gaps in terms of cellular coverage that would reach up into the upper reaches. How do you address some of the difficulties of deploying your technology in these sorts of rugged environments?
Sorry, I couldn't get the questions.
So how do you cope with a rugged environment like, for example, Hong Kong's mountainous terrain where there may or may not be cellular service available?
Yeah, I think by extending the coverage, it's easier to have dual coverage by applying the sensors in the area. So even there's very difficult terrain, so we can solve this problem. So.
I'm sorry, perhaps you can clarify just for me. You can address the problem with dual coverage. What do you mean specifically?
So, yeah, just to make it clear, your question is about with an area with many terrain.
Right, and perhaps no cellular coverage.
Yes. So right now we solve this problem by extending the range of the radius, so that and also we have a simulation software that will pledge the best location that we deploy and have the best visible area of the sensors coverage.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next up, we have a B2B SaaS startup that actually was born out of a startup weekend. So we have Andrew of Aftershift.
Hey, thank you. So my name is Andrew. I'm the co-founder of Aftershift. So what Aftershift does. So what Aftershift does, we provide shipment tracking data for online retailers and also marketplace and also some partners doing e-commerce. So we provide the shipment tracking API. So what we does, we aggregate the shipment tracking data. Why we need to do that? We say, oh, UPS have that, DHL have that. So let's look at this example. So on the left-hand side is UPS, on the right-hand side is Aftershift. So what we do some mapping on the status. So for example, all for delivery, what we do, we unify all the data set across the carriers, and we can tell which shipment is out for delivery, delivered via time and session. So we unify the data for 200 carriers. So one of our key clients is Etsy, and we have other clients like Groupon, Wish.com, and etc. So what we help them is to provide he says we help them for international order tracking. Let's see what they do at Etsy. So Etsy displays to clients the shipment tracking data within Etsy website. Well, you can say that UPS have that tracking data, DHL have that, but Etsy have over 100 carriers. If you don't want the customers to go to UPS website or DHL website, you want to provide this white label shipment tracking data, then you need Aftershift. Or you can build it yourself and integrate each of them. So what Aftershift does is an automated tracking system. So we can tell whether shipments is out for delivery, and then you, as an online retailer or platform, you can interact with customers saying, hey, your dress is out for delivery. Or when it's delivered, you can say, okay, today is afterwards, ask for reviews. Because without tracking the shipments, you actually don't know whether are shipped or delivered. As a merchant or, well, as a customer you know, but as a merchant or marketplace, you don't know that. So this is the number because Gene said, hey, you have to show some numbers or have to show the calculated results what you guys doing. So we started 2012, and we launched in 2012. And in December 2013, which is almost 1 year something, we have 6,000 users, 1 million shipment tracking, and now we have 48,000 users, 19 million shipment tracking. So it's a premium model. So we, for the users, we have an app as well. So for the users that are not using API, it's free, basically. But if you're using API and some notification function, we charge 1 cent per shipment. 6% conversion rate. And for the revenue, well, we are a profitable company. We have around 12 people. We're growing the team to 30. And actually, we can afford that now, but it's just very hard to hire people in Hong Kong. And so we are the top app at Shopify, eBay, Magento, and different places. Well, we have mobile downloads, but we don't count that as users. We don't do marketing. We don't do sales. So the question is, what's next, right? So you track the data, blah, blah, blah. So look at this picture. I don't know if you have seen this prank from DHL. So DHL has a marketing, advertising thing. So they ask, on the left is TNT, middle is UPS, and the right is DPD. So they ask DHL, ask somebody like from that carrier to carry a box, saying DHL is faster. Well, it's an okay advertisement, but what means by faster? So Hong Kong to New York, how many days or hours exactly you're talking about? So there's no such data in the market that is really objective. So we have the data, so we know exactly what the shipment is shipped from point A to point B and how long it is. So that's probably what we are focusing right now. And you will ask, oh, what's the trend for e-commerce logistics? So for over 2.5 years, what we see is this. A sea of logistics carriers. Is the traditional carriers, like over 300 or 400, 500 carriers. And then there is like Alibaba, well, on top is like UPS, FedEx, DHL, Shenfeng, China Post, blah, blah. And then in the middle, this row is kind of fulfillment company, like Amazon, Alibaba Group, blah, blah, blah. And then at the below is the on-demand delivery service. The problem, well, it's not a problem, it's great. You have lots of choices. But for merchants, online retailers, if you want to ask them to change which carrier they use, it's very hard. So what we're trying to do is to build a platform, it's kind of aggregator, to help the online merchants to switch easily in terms of technology-wise. That will be our focus. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's your competition?
I would say most of the customers, the merchants, we educate them. They are choosing between they build it themselves or they use us, mostly.
There's no one else out there doing what you're doing, trying to aggregate all these different shippers? And
the tracking part, not really that much. Shipping part, there are lots of people doing like Stripe for shipping.
no, I mean aggregating
The tracking data.
the tracking data.
Not that level at 200 carriers plus. There are some, but not targeting online retailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Cool.
So from B2B, we're now going to B2C, hardware. Julian.
Hi everyone, I'm Julian, I'm Julian, the founder and CEO of Ambi Labs. And our first product, Ambi Climate, upgrades the intelligence of air conditioners in Asia. At this point, some of you may be thinking, while air conditioners, sorry to tell you this, Julian, but there's a company in the US that you might want to look up, and they were acquired by Google last year. So are you just a cheap Asian knockoff of that? And I'm happy to say we're not. See, most of the competition right now, and sorry, it's a little cut off on this side, but most of the competition right now of this air conditioning HVAC intelligence is really focused on the US market, which is quite big. It's about 53 million households. But according to Euromonitor, Asia over here is 6 times that. At almost 300 million households, it's larger than the rest of the world combined. And it's not just a question of focus. Also, most of the competitors now in this space, they're really focused on central air conditioning. This is the type of air conditioning prevalent in the US, whole home air conditioning, which is about 3/4 of the market in the US. But that doesn't really exist here in Asia. In Asia, this exists on the right side here. It's only a few markets in Asia with relatively low penetration. Most of Asia is this Japanese-style air conditioning, infrared-controlled split unit devices. And in addition to that, the compatibility issue, the lifestyle here is also very different. In the US and in Europe, it's predominantly always on air conditioning paradigms, where people leave their air conditioning on pretty much 24/7, and so there's a clear opportunity to save energy when no one's at home. But that doesn't happen in Asia. In Asia, people tend to use air conditioning pretty much on demand. Part of that is due to cost. I know some people expats who've moved here from the US, and their bills went from maybe $200 to over $600. So really, it's the way people use air conditioners here is very different. They're quite lean. So really, you might ask, well, what is the problem here? What are we trying to do? Well, what we've actually found is that comfort really is a big challenge here in Asia in terms of air conditioning. So this is a quote from a customer we interviewed in Japan, where they use air conditioners for heating as well as cooling. And they were saying, on a cold winter's day, it's such a struggle to get out of bed. Why can't my air conditioner be smart enough to know it's cold, bump up the temperature by 2 degrees so I can wake up feeling comfortable? Or in Singapore, where some users we interviewed told us about these apocalyptic thunderstorms. Day becomes night, the temperature drops by 5 degrees outside and it's the same inside as well. This is the 21st century. Why can't my air conditioner cope with these challenges? So that's why we developed this product, AmbiClimate. So this little device here, it's a hardware sensor platform. It sits in your room, constantly collects data on your temperature, humidity, sunlight levels, motion levels in the room, and it uploads this data via Wi-Fi to our cloud service, where we use machine learning to learn about the patterns of your home. We learn how it heats up. Do you have a west-facing window that it gets warm in the afternoon? Things like that. And we also learn about your lifestyle characteristics. What feels comfortable to you at different times? And then the signal comes back to this device and it beams the signal directly to your air conditioner via infrared. So what does that actually look like? Just a little bit of data to help you understand a bit more. So this is some data we collected from some of our beta users, and I apologize for the complexity of the chart. I'll run through them very quickly. The red line is the outdoor temperature of that day. The pink line is the indoor temperature, and the green line is a feels-like measure. The blue bars is when people switch on the air conditioner. So you can see that this user actually initially uses just a standard air conditioner control. He comes in, on Sunday night, sort of just before midnight, switches on the air conditioner, and gets comfortable, goes to sleep. But because the conditions outdoor continue to get colder, the conditions in the room continue to get even colder as well, and the user tends to wake up very cold first thing in the morning. But with our device, we actually automatically control that. So here, on the second day here, you can see that we control this feels like temperature very evenly by constantly adjusting the air conditioner up and down. So the net effect of what we can do is that we can give you a much more consistent temperature, and it's not just an air temperature measure, it's also about comfort, because as I mentioned earlier, we learn about what feels comfortable to you. And between these two combined, we found that we could save up to 30% of your energy consumption of your air conditioner. So that's us. We're actually quite early stage. We just ran a Kickstarter campaign towards the end of last year, and we've just shipped our first 200 units about 2 months ago. Thank you.
So I'm a bit of a disadvantage here because I'm accustomed to a different sort of heating and cooling system, but I'll endeavor to ask an intelligent question nonetheless. How much consumer input is required here to calibrate this system, and how much interaction do I need to have to train it to my preferences?
That's a great question, and because in a sense, that's what people do nowadays anyway. Because With the current controls, they have to use a remote control to change the temperature up and down whenever they feel uncomfortable. Well, some people get so used to that they actually adapt their own lifestyle habits. So it may be pulling on an extra jumper when they feel cold, or very typically in Hong Kong, people like to make their air conditioning super cold and use a thick blanket as well. So what our system would require is that the user does need to make adjustments on their phone to give us inputs, but over the course of through those inputs, we will actually learn what feels comfortable to.
Can I ask why you're restricting this to Asia? I understood in the original slide your point about all the potential in Asia, I get that, but there are window units in many other parts of the world. There are these split units, which we in the US sometimes call heat pumps, even in the US in quite a large number of homes, and certainly in other parts of the world. Do you have any plans to go beyond Asia?
Yes, so actually when we ran our Kickstarter campaign, we were pleasantly surprised by the sort of more international demand. So both in the northeast of the US, where window units are common, even Latin America, even Northern Europe, where they use the heat pumps for heating as well. But certainly in terms of, I believe the sort of mini split market in the US is about 5% of the installed base. So it is certainly interesting, but we perceive that the real opportunity is in Asia, and since we've done most of our user research in Asia, we feel that that's where we can best serve the customers.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So in 2011, Airbnb featured talked at our event, and today we also have a sharing economy startup here in Hong Kong, and that's GoGoVan. Wow, guys.
So, how many of you guys have heard of GoGoVan? Because I'm from Hong Kong. Okay, cool. So it's more than it's more like a company overview than a pitch. Okay, it's very simple idea, and so first of all, I would like to ask a question. If I want to move this chair today in Hong Kong, how would you do this? What kind of solution kind of pop up on your mind? How can you move a simple chair like this in Hong Kong?
Taxi.
What? You fit this in the taxi? What kind of taxi you are taking? You must not be from Hong Kong. So, Hong Kong taxi, they are like standardized, just red. Okay. So now I created the solution, what we call GoGoVan. In the past, you call a lot of call centers to move stuff around Hong Kong. All bulky items, you need to call a van. And now you're using an app to do this. So let me tell you how. Hey Jin, is there a YouTube video?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to show you something really, really cool to tell what we do.
Instant delivery service in just a few clicks. No matter if you have a document, furniture, pounds of goods, or anything in between, we can help you get it delivered. Simply download the app, select the pickup and drop-off location, and the driver will be on his way. We provide super fast delivery services by connecting you immediately with drivers around you. Everyone that requires delivery, courier, or moving services can benefit from instant access to thousands of local professional drivers, delivery and pickup services within minutes of booking, ability to choose between motorcycles, vans, trucks, and spaceships. Okay, spaceships, maybe not yet. No matter if you're a business owner delivering packages to your customers or shipping your birthday gift to your loved one, GoGoVan is the one-stop service for you, and it's super easy to get started. To find your nearest courier, download GoGoVan now and get moving.
Okay, that's what we do, and it's a brand new video coming out really fresh that getting ready to launch the country for us. So what we do, we are really simple. We are a platform to connect a lot of commercial vehicles to SMEs, corporate, and everyone that you can imagine. We are the on-demand logistics platform. Thank you to Andrew He explained a little bit on the last mile delivery, on demand service a little bit just now, so I'm not going to dive into that. So a little bit about our background. We are really local startup. The 5 co-founders were all born and raised in Hong Kong. We founded the company in July 2013, and now we own more than 60% of the market share here in Hong Kong. We are the first one to create this kind of ideas. There were a couple abroad and news say that we are the first logistic concept applied to the Uber of things stuff. So I hate to say that, but we are the Uber for logistics. So because it's just easy for you guys to understand, right? Here, most of people are the expats, and if you talk to the local people, they may not get it, but when you guys sitting here, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. And we got a lot of awards in Hong Kong. Now the team actually is more than 100 people right now. I just come back from China. Right now we are operating in Singapore, Taiwan, and we just landed ourselves in Seoul, South Korea, and then now operating in 4 cities in China, and we are expanding much faster than we expected before. The application is really simple. Put in the locations and the destinations, and then your shipping requirement, delivery requirement, or moving house requirement into the app, and then we'll get you the closest driver that we can find around town. So for example, in Hong Kong, we can get you a driver within 10 minutes arriving at the pickup locations. In average, around 5 to 10 seconds with one time in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Taiwan. In South Korea, it takes around 1 minute. And in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, probably around 1 minute or 2 minutes because we just launched after Chinese New Year, but we are getting there. The app is really simple. You make a booking, and then we find drivers, you pay the driver, that's it. We don't accept online payment, I'm sorry, because we are in Asia, and it's cash king countries. So, hey, didn't you find there's no octopus card in taxi in Hong Kong? Because they hate it, even octopus card, so they have to take cash, and that's why we don't accept online payment. So, in some cases in Hong Kong, it was a little bit around 17 months. Right now, we are the biggest one, and we have done a lot of stuff in Hong Kong. Have you guys seen this kind of branded van in Hong Kong? We invited 18 artists around the world to put their artwork on a van, which kind of demonstrate a van, cargo van in Hong Kong, which is a kind of a lower class career or job, something like that. And actually we can make it really fun. So the company is very interesting. We always add a lot of elements into this vibrant startup, and we just love doing something like this crazy. And we were in Singapore. Now we are working with a lot of logistic company in Singapore. And now also we are operating in Taiwan for 3 months. And I just mentioned how fast we can get a motorcycle actually in Taiwan, not a van, because there's some issue to get a van in Taiwan. Those guys, they don't really take your stuff unless you negotiate with them for a long time. So at this moment, we just offer a motorcycle service. So if you want to deliver a package or letter or something like courier, feel free to use our service in Taiwan. And actually, we plan to just launch in Taipei and test it, but for some reason, maybe our service or our product is so good that it grows organically, covering the whole Taiwan. So when you are going to Taichung, Tainan, even Kaohsiung, you can find a GoGo motorcycle. So this is something that we have done in Hong Kong. We made a GoGo van that fill up with all the Christmas gifts and drive into a high school in Hong Kong, that a very special high school. And then the artwork on the van actually is drawn by those students, and then we deliver a lot of gifts for them. Because we are from Hong Kong and we want to do good in Hong Kong, we present in Hong Kong. So there's some kind of takeaways which I have summarized already. And we have been featured in a lot of press and internationally in China, in Hong Kong, across Asia. And the
cash, they like to negotiate if they have a truck in Taiwan, so you can only use couriers on motorcycles. Is this ultimately going to prove to be a difficult situation for you in terms of scaling? Every single country you have to do it in a different way, with a different form of payment, sometimes not with your whole range of services. How are you going to deal with this as you move on and on and on?
Well, that's really a very good question, and that's one of the biggest challenges that before we expand to Singapore. The first day I was in Singapore, actually I I don't know anything about that country. It's English speaking and a lot of Chinese, but I find it's really hard to launch Google Bank actually. And I take it as an example, because in Hong Kong we have call centers. Our position is to disrupt all the call centers in Hong Kong. That's the first step and the first strategy that we take. But in Singapore, no one knows what's call center. And when something like Google Van launched in Singapore, they said, hey, when I move something, why I need to book a van? I just need a moving company, moving service, delivery service, or courier service. I don't need a van. I don't care if you use a train or cargo truck or ship to help me deliver something. As soon as you get it there, right? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But when we were in Hong Kong, we're like, hey, when you're moving these chairs, you get a van. That's kind of like, it's our daily life. We know how it works. But that's the first question. What we do to overcome this challenge is I sit down with a lot of drivers in Singapore and then ask them what and how their life is looking like as a driver. That's the first step, because we are helping the drivers. That's the first problem solved. So we learned a big lesson in Singapore. By the time that we launched in Taiwan, we did the same, talk to the drivers, understand the market, and then talk to the customers. And then we changed the product along the way. So the same product that you see in Hong Kong actually very different from the one that you see in Singapore and now in Korea, because I don't speak Korean now. We launched in Korea. And the service we call delivery service. We call Google Van here in Hong Kong. They call it quick service. What is quick service? And quick service actually means a lot of different vehicles. And it's all about the time. Within 2 hours, they call it quick service. So we go to the market, study the market, research it, and the kind of the culture of the company actually is so actually replying to one of the questions that I had was, when you want to build a startup, you don't wait for the government or no matter who that is to help you. Before Google Van has our first technical founder, we just draw the business model and how the app is going to work on a piece of paper, A4 paper. And then we make like 1,000 or 2,000 photocopies and then hang it out to the drivers, asking them if they want to use it. We use the same approach until we get the driver saying that, hey, this is a really good idea, I'm going to use it, and then I go to find the guy to help me to build the product. We just built this company with only 20,000 Hong Kong dollars. Now we raised over 16.5 billion US dollars. So from 20,000 Hong Kong dollars to 16.5 billion US dollars, and the variation you can read online. So this is the approach we do. Very lean startup, understand the market, and then we deploy.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, we've talked a lot about different types of startups and businesses, and one thing that people don't really associate business is with fun, right? So we have a startup that actually is all about that. Ray of 9Get.
Hi. I think we really need the MB climate here. It's freaking cold here. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for having me here. I'm Ray, one of the 5 co-founders of 9Get. If you have been young enough, probably you have seen 9Get. We started 9Get in 2008 with one very simple mission. We want to make people happy. Yeah, that's why we started a website just for people to share some funny pictures and some funny videos. Most of them were about cats and dogs and stuff like that. Yeah. Until this day, we are one. Yeah, the slide is not big enough. Anyway, 9Get is the leading online community that connects people with shared interests. Because we believe that when we see the people on 9Get, basically they share more than just funny pictures. They share pictures or stuff that they are interested in, and then they want to connect with others. Yeah, this is Alexa ranking of 9Get. It doesn't mean that we make more money than these other companies. It only means that we are kind of popular, and then it's not really accurate. Yeah, but Hong Kong people love ranking. That's why I just showed here. We rank about top 200 in the world, and then Wall Street Journal, because work for Wall Street Journal. That's why I cite it as an example. And then 9Get TV, we started this.
Quite funny.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, and then Nightget TV, we started it in mid 2013, and right now we are more popular than Next Media, which is one of the biggest online newspaper in Hong Kong. Yeah, that means the Apple Daily. And then we are also pretty popular on social media. We have more than 23 million fans on Facebook, more than 4 million followers on Twitter, and also 12 million followers on Instagram. And these three social media accounts are all just run by one person. So this is something that we are kind of proud of, yeah. And especially Instagram. Because if you take away Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, all that celebrities, we are ranked number 3 in the world. That means the top 3 brands in the world. And one thing that really makes our team very happy is we surpass Victoria's Secret. Yeah. And then we have a small celebration at our team, yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the social media person, she's a girl, yeah. So we also have quite many female team members in our team, yeah. And then we joined 500 Startups in 2011, and then we also joined Y Combinator in 2012. We joined it not because we want to, I don't know, give out our equity to more investors. Yeah, it's more about the experience and also the connections that we want to have. Because one of the biggest challenges in building a tech company in Hong Kong is not about the money. There are tons of rich people here. Of course, they don't understand tech, but when you show traction, they will invest in you. But the operating experience and also how to build a tech company, I think we can get the best experience in the valley. We always tell our team member, building a tech company in Hong Kong is kind of like playing basketball. No matter how good you are, people don't care. If you play at the NBA, no matter how bad you are, people still think that you're pretty good. Yeah, that's why we flew to the US and then we joined these 2 incubators. I think we are the first companies that joined 500 Startups. One of the first Hong Kong companies that joined 500 Startups, and then also the first Hong Kong company that joined Y Combinator, and also the very first company that joined both incubators in the US. Yeah. And then we raised 2.8 million in 2012. Comparing to GoGoVan, it's a small money nowadays, yeah. But we didn't need the money. In fact, we only need the investors to care about us. That's why we need them to pay us some money so that they care about us more. Yeah. And then we got pretty good list of investors. If you are familiar with the Silicon Valley, we got First Right Capital, we got Freestyle Capital, we got Great Croft, and also we also got True Ventures, and also some pretty amazing angel investors, including the Hot or Not founder James Han, and also Chris Sucker, and a lot of guys. They're pretty cool guys and very helpful. Okay, then people usually when I talk about Nightget, they always think that, hey Ray, do I have to be funny to join your team? Or, hey, what's next for Nightget? Do you want to just make more funny cat photos or stuff like that? Yeah. So that this gives us a really hard time in hiring. Yeah, that's why I want to grab this chance to tell people more about what we are building and what we plan to do. Yeah, we call it a lock-in internally. In fact, it stands for 3 terms. First thing is local. Because if you have browsed Nightget, you know that right now all the content and also the interface is just in English. But our top country is Germany. Yeah. So and then the second country is US, and then France, and then Netherlands, and then the Philippines. Yeah, Philippines is kind of poor, but yeah, still top countries. Yeah. So if we want to have a better influence and deeper penetration into those markets, we probably need to localize our content, also localize the interface language. We believe that with these changes, probably we can make more people happy, make the people who don't understand English happier. Yeah. And then the second thing is games. G stands for games. Because when we talk to our users, we ask them, hey, what are the things that you like the most? Most of them, they said games, because they are still pretty young, and nowadays, even 40 years old, they also play games. So we believe that there's a big synergy between Nightget and also games. Especially when you look at Google Play and also App Store, all the top charts of the games or the game section, basically it's all by the super big companies, the EA Sports or EA and the Supercell. They're a pretty big company. We believe that we can help those small to medium-sized game developers to find users, and also help our users to find some good and new games. Yeah, that's why we want to introduce games to some new games and also build a community for it. For example, we work with Indonesian partners and launched the first game. The game itself is not that good. Yeah, but it's pretty simple. So that and that guy is and the CEO of that company is our friend. That's why we think, hey, fuck it, we just do it. And then we just launch the game. And then in 30 days, we give them a million install. It's not extremely big. It's not as big as Facebook, but it's still pretty significant for a small game developer. And then in order to help more developers, we are also soft launching. Yeah, don't trade about it because this site is still pretty crap. Yeah, we call it GameA.com. Think about it as a product hunt for mobile games, which is targeting younger users, not the tech guy, not the investors. It's more about targeting the users who really play games. And then the last thing is interest. Yeah, because right now, when you think about it, fun itself doesn't stand alone. Basically, it has to rely on other topics. For example, you laugh at powerful people, you laugh at big companies, you talk about failed cost pays and stuff like that. We believe that there are more things that we can do or we can develop from our NiGet community. That's why we want to have more interest vertical, so that the people who loves cosplay but doesn't love funny pictures, then they can also visit the properties that we operate. So that we build an app called NiChat. It's like a mobile forum that consists of different topics, and then people can also talk to each other, and then they can find people who are really into their interests, no matter how weird it is. Yeah. So this is also something that we are also soft launching. Yeah. Just in case you forgot, that is LO and then a G and an IN, so that in such case, we do not just become a website that people visit. We become a community that people become their members. Yeah. And then just in case, people always ask us, hey, how do you make money? Right now, we don't see many ads on NiGet. We believe that if you can create value for people, you can make money. If you can create a lot of value for a lot of people, you can make big money. Yeah, look at Facebook, right? Yeah. So that we believe that, and also we believe that the best way to make money is to get money from your users instead of copying with advertisers, no matter how good the advertiser is. Yeah, so that we also do advertising because it's the low-hanging fruit. Just put the ad there and then you can count the cash. Yeah, but we believe that the longer one is to have your own brand, so that do merchandising, events, and also with games you can also do in-app purchase, so that people are willing to pay money for your apps, for your products, just like the ladies pay a lot of money for those luxurious beds. Yeah. Okay. Also grab this chance to hire, so that if you are interested in building community for NiGet, you can go to this website or just email me ray@niget.com. Then we can chat. Thank you. Yeah.
So good to hear from you again. I'll be sending you my resume later. My question is, I mean, comedy is tastes change so quickly, and humor has a difficulty traveling. And you say you have a big base in Germany. How do you hope to stay current in this sort of constantly changing marketplace where tastes are, what's funny in one market may not translate?
I think it's not about translating the humor. It's more about give the power to the users, to the people, to upvote and downvote the content that they see. So that basically, right now we only have 5 editors or curators that work on the content that serve 70 million users of our website. But it's all about the community. So that I don't have to be a funny guy, but as long as the users, they understand the content, it's good enough. Yeah. And also, I think people always think that humor is very personal. No way. I think a lot of people just like similar stuff. For example, like a guy, if he climbs up to the stage and then he trips and then you laugh at him at the heart. Yeah, I think people laugh at similar things, especially for young people, because they don't know anything about the world. They just watch. They don't know much about the world. Yeah, I have to correct that. Yeah, they always watch US TV shows and US entertainment. So that the trend, the taste is kind of similar.
That'll make you dumb. Yeah.
No, I think the best wisdom usually is not just funny. For example, on NiGet, there are a lot of very inspirational quotes. Even the slides that Casey saw, the startup quote, we also make that. Yeah, and I think there are many things that can derive from funny. It's not just low-class humor, but it's always about how to see world in a happier and interesting angle. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that wraps up our show tonight. So I want to thank all the startups. I want to thank Walt Mossberg, Don. Thanks a lot, everybody. Give them a big round of applause.